Hey everyone, my name is Corey, and today we're going to be looking at how to stabilize some shaky footage. So, to give you a little background, I recently went on a road trip across the United States, and basically holding a camera out the window, you can see this kind of shaky footage. So, there's some really simple things we can do within After Effects to actually try to stabilize this footage. And so, let's go ahead and make a new composition. We'll call it whatever. Sunset. Go ahead and drag in our file, drag it in. So there's actually a couple things. I'm going to go ahead and do a RAM preview. There's a couple things we can do there. After Effects has a couple effects that we can use. You could also do a little bit of motion tracking and kind of do it manually. That is a little bit better if you have a scene or a clip that is a little bit more complicated to deal with. So an example of that is this. So this was kind of at night, and the problem with this is, as you can see, there are cars going by, and the built-in effects for After Effects doing it kind of automatically doesn't really know how to deal with the cars that well. So if you have something like that, basically the way to do that is using a null object, tracking it, and then moving, doing some manipulation with that, basically doing it manually. But this is for pretty simple scenes. So if you have a scene like this where you can see it's very obvious what the movement is and what the background is. There's nothing really interfering with the scene. So if we go to our effects and presets, I'm just going to just search Stabilize. And so there's an effect called the Warp Stabilize VFX. If we go ahead and drag that onto our clip, it's going to go ahead and automatically generate or analyze the background. Great. So now that it's analyzed and gone ahead and stabilized the background, over here on the left is where you can mess with the settings a little bit. So it's very simple. You have a couple different methods of basically warping the image. So if we do a RAM preview, we can see it's so much smoother. But you can see a little bit, especially in the clouds, that the clouds are moving a little bit. So a couple ways to deal with that is, number one, you could change the smoothness. You could actually scale it down a little bit, and that will help with making it look a little bit more natural. But when you are scaling it down, you are losing a little bit of the smoothness. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back at the default, which is 50. So another thing is the result. If you want no motion versus smooth motion, you can see now there's absolutely no movement. And if you're trying to achieve this kind of effect, this looks very good. It's still a little bit off with the clouds, but overall, this is such an improvement from what we had, and it was so easy to do. So I'm going to go ahead and move it back to smooth motion because that's essentially what I want. And so the way to kind of get rid of this movement in the clouds, and if you have different other elements in the scene, like a tree, or in this case houses, sometimes you'll see a little bit of warping around those objects. So something you can do is change the method to position or position scale rotation, and here is where you get a little bit more cleaner fluid motion. So that's essentially the way to go about this, and this works so well with scenes that are very obviously just have a little bit of image movement and you want to stabilize them simply. And so of course then you have your kind of different cropping and framing and other scales and all this stuff that to be honest, I don't know what it does, and I've never used it because I've never had to. But if you need to stabilize some footage, this is a very quick and easy way to see what you can do kind of automatically before you have to go in and actually do the motion tracking for it. So guys, I hope this was helpful to you, and thank you for watching. This has been Corey from the Techies.